So hello guys, we are recording this session so that we will have a recording at the end of the session in about 6 to 7 hours from now. You should be able to see that red color dot that indicating that it is actually being recorded. Please confirm that you can see that dot. Can you see the dot?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. Hey Tina, how are you doing?
No, good, thanks.
Okay, so we are getting ready to start. We have our desktop sharing starting up. We have people joining in, and it is not 4 o'clock yet, but it's pretty almost there. Almost there. So we'll start any moment as soon as it's 4. And I will begin with a quick recap and extend our discussion further. Let me shut down a couple of processes on my laptop. I think I have a bunch of things running. So let me just make it easy. I'll shut a bunch of processes running on my computer, which will help speed up our work. That's what I'm currently doing. I think I just noted that there are a bunch of things unnecessarily running, which is not a good idea. It slows down everything, and also some of the processing power of my computer is spent in that direction, which we don't want. So,
hey Nilesh, can we record our conversation?
Yeah. I think I am recording. I have turned on default recording by default, so that it will just record without your permission. I'm just telling you that. So it will go to record going forward, and we don't have to worry about forgetting to record. But it means that we are not seeking anybody's permission to record. So that part we mentioned, we discussed, and I think it is recording. So you should see a red flag showing that it is currently being recorded. And with that, I am also turning off a couple of things here. First thing I wanted to check was whether you have access to a virtual machine now. That machine should be popping up in your computer in a folder called Workstation, and the folder looks like this. Do you have that workstation?
Yes.
Okay. If you have any one of you who has any issues or trouble in, I think I see Sridhar has it, Jessica, Kenny, Ed. So yeah, most of you have it. But if you have trouble accessing it, I would like to know that after the class. I will fix it and make sure that you can.
I cannot start it.
Okay. So the reason you probably are not likely to start is because, can you tell me which machine are you using?
This is Windows.
Okay,
Windows. Windows Pro.
Yeah, who makes it?
Microsoft.
No, the computer manufacturer.
Oh, Dell.
Dell. So in that Dell machine, if you can please go to the BIOS settings and examine. It's not right now, later on, not right now. But in the BIOS setting, there is a place to turn on virtualization. I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Just a minute. So here is my browser. And what I'm saying is, I think in Dell virtualization BIOS setting, that's what you should search for. And they will have, these steps. They have to follow these steps. How do you enable virtualization technology in Dell systems? So that's the button you want to search for and click. And basically it boils down to, pressing F2 at the startup before the computer boots up. And then somewhere look for the advanced button, then select virtualization, and then enable it, basically. Select enabled. What happens is companies like Dell and Sony and some other company like Lenovo, sometimes they think that, you and I, we are stupid people, that we don't know what virtualization is, that we don't want to use it. So they are, in their superior mind, decide to disable it. I have seen it so many times. People see that, in their laptops they buy, and then they have this virtualization capability is in their system. But these manufacturers like Dell, for example, will decide to disable it for no reason. So I would like you to go and enable it. And so say enabled, and then say yes and save the settings, and then reboot. that should do it. That should be the problem, the resolution to your problem. I think your manufacturer, Dell, seems to have disabled it. That's
Okay.
unfortunate. That's how it is. So you enable it and it will work. If it is still giving you problems, I will help you out. No worries. Maybe after the session, we'll look at your machine and see what's going on. So what I'm going to do right now is quit this command line, and I will now go back to that note sheet. In here, you will see that not here in this website, which is called the Cloud Seminar. In that website, you will see that there are these steps. Oh, I'm not on the right website. Okay, I'm on some 10 address. So let me go to that address. And in here, you will see that there are these steps written for you to prepare yourself, which means you have by now at least one or two cloud accounts you probably have already, like Amazon or DigitalOcean, or one of those guys. You should have it already by now. I'm assuming that's the case. I'm also assuming that most of you can actually successfully run that workstation, which is this VirtualBox-based open workstation called Cloud Genius Workstation. You should be able to run it just like that. So I'm going to run it myself also. And I'll let it start. It takes like a minute and it'll start. It's an independent machine, runs Linux. And what I want to do now is understand and go further with the discussion we have had up until now. Like last time we were discussing what? We were discussing these things. If you remember and recall, we were discussing types of storage, like object storage, file storage, storage area network, and some archival storage for backup purposes. Right? That's the 4 different types of storage we discussed. Excuse me. And so in general, what we are really looking at in this situation, give me a second. I think I had to sneeze apparently. So excuse me, I mute myself and then sneeze. Okay, I'm back. What I was talking about is these types of storage solutions, the 4 different types that I mentioned. What we are really doing is programming the underlying infrastructure and customize it and make it usable in these 4 different forms, like the object storage, file storage, disk storage, and tape or archive storage, if you call it. Those types of storage solutions that we have. We are making the storage resource in general, and we are programming it effectively. We are programming it through 3 different methods. Those 3 methods that we saw, only one of them was using the browser-based tools, and we use our mouse and keyboard to operate on some website, and we are able to effectively manipulate the storage resource and get access to these types of usable resources in terms of file store, disk store, archival store, object store, and then use this in our applications. That's what we're really doing, using this method of interaction with some service. There are 2 other methods. One is this. One of them is called command line interface, and the other one is application programming interface. So these 2 are also available. We'll also use them in subsequently. But for up until now, what we have done is played with these capabilities, 4 different types of capabilities with 2 or 3 different storage services providers. So if you now understand what we dealt with is what I can call software-defined storage. We are using some software that runs in the browser or in the command line or API, and we are manipulating this storage resource, and we are creating a variety of services like that. We are defining what we want based on what we program and programmatically manipulate to make a variety of storage solutions available to us. Did we touch any disk ourselves? No, we did not. It's purely controlled through software. We went to this website, for example. Let's go there again. You go to the Google Cloud, for example, and in there you will find that there is this storage resource available, and we can manipulate that storage resource in any which way we like. Like here, where is the storage button? Come on, storage. There, the storage browser, and we have one type of usage, and then there are a variety of usage types. Similarly, you saw this thing in the other cloud, which is the Amazon cloud. You saw the same thing here. We accessed The disk resource is in EC2 section. We saw the block store solution set. Where is that block store? EC2 section has the block piece available. Where is that? Volumes, elastic block store. That's where you can create a disk like that. So you saw these things. What we are really doing is software defined storage. We are defining things around software and extending the same logic. We have the ability to define software defined compute and software defined networks. We'll discuss these two also in just a minute. And we'll play some more with actual hands-on exercises with these guys to really comprehensively understand what these things are and how do we actually make them in real usage for real applications for our customers. We just barely scratched the surface of understanding what storage capabilities are and how do we define the exact nature of the beast in terms of programming the available resource to make it useful in some fashion. The fashion that we discussed were these 4 types. That's what we saw. Now, let us go and understand the idea of briefly in terms of understanding these capability of compute, software defined compute as to what are we really talking about, software defined networks, what we're really talking about just at the concept level. And then we will begin exercises in this and then here and then here like that. It'll increasingly become more complex in this direction. Software storage pieces are easy to understand. And slowly the complexity will increase. With hands-on exercises, I expect you to do them. I will be doing them live. There is no pre-recorded demos. We will go to the cloud, and we pick your cloud and run the exercise there, understand it, make use in some application scenario, feel happy about it, feel comfortable with it, and move on to more complex detailed exercises as we go along. And we are recording this. And sorry, I missed the recording last time. I hope we'll not do it again. But the point is to be able to record, and then we can catch up and rewind and repeat and get to the point where we really understand these things. So now I'll quickly recap all these 3 at the conceptual level, and then we'll begin exercises with these things, and then here like that. That's the plan of action. So software defined blah. This blah can be storage, storage, compute, and network. Software defined storage, software defined compute, software defined network. That's the conceptual idea. Now let's look at in the perspective of this storage as an example, and look at our virtual machine that we have here that is running right now. If you look at that machine, I will see that in that machine I have, what do I have? Let's go see that. In my computer, in the about section of my computer, I see that I have a disk, 132 GB. That's the storage. Similarly, I have this Intel Core i7 CPU available and the memory available. Now, if you look at creating, by the way, for a minute, I'd like to shut this down to show you another thing. What I would like to discuss with you is just shutting that down and create a new virtual machine just like this. So this machine that we have is shutting down. What I will be doing is using the same software and create a new virtual machine. And here I'll call it something else. And this something else machine will run, some Linux of some sorts. Like I will like to run Fedora Linux, for example. Just saying. And I continue, proceed forward. Then I decide that I have memory allocated by default 1024 MB RAM, but I have more. I can afford to give it more. The more RAM I give to this machine, the better off it will run. So I have 16 available. I can probably give it something like, okay, all the way, be generous. But if I go across this green line all the way up to this, then if I exceed and go to the red area, I have a problem. Do you know what that problem is? What is the problem if I cross into here?
You're over allocating?
Over allocating, because my Macintosh will starve. My Macintosh, which is the underlying OS and the underlying machine, I'm starving it. I'm not giving enough resources leaving behind for the Macintosh. I'm allocating more than what I am supposed to be giving to the virtual machine. This virtual machine that I'm planning to create, Fedora Linux, called something else. If I over allocate, like that, and I go beyond this recommended memory size of whatever that number is, 12288 MB. If I cross that threshold, I'm in the danger zone. Actually, it's a warning zone. The danger zone is right here, I think. So the real need for Macintosh to be able to barely crawl is this much memory I have to really leave behind for my Macintosh. It is 16384 minus 15435. So roughly about a GB you need to leave behind for the Mac to survive, to breathe. Otherwise, the whole machine will come crashing down. We don't want that. And that's the kind of allocation of memory we are looking at. Typically, it's a good idea to give it like 4096. Good idea. You can give more. The more memory you give to the VM, the better off it performs, because it is able to run comfortably and it will not bother you. Since you have a lot of memory, you should be able to give more to this virtual machine as we go along. So let's give it like 8192, for example. And then I continue forward. Now I need to allocate some disk. And here, if I look at my machine and I have storage and I have how much? 1 terabyte. Total available disk, 1 TB. Okay, note that. And what I'm going to do now is I will create a disk. And I'll say VDI type disk, which is the VirtualBox basic format. And I'll say, you know what, allocate the disk. And I would like to get 2 terabytes. Is that a good idea? You tell me if that is a good idea or not.
No.
Okay. That was a trick question. It's actually a good idea. Sorry.
Don't you need some space for your operating system and all that? Because if you...
No, what happens is it's an okay idea, is because if you go back a little bit, it is dynamically allocated. Sorry, I cheated on you. So the idea is this is dynamic allocation, which means the actual allocated disk is not that big. It's just pretending to be 2 terabytes. It's not actually 2 terabytes. So you can go allocate 2 terabytes and you can create it successfully. It doesn't go to hurt you. In fact, if you start that machine, it will show you 2 terabytes. Actually, I cannot actually start the machine because we have not put an operating system there yet. We still have to load up an operating system with a CD drive and then boot it up and set up the OS. That part has not been done. But if you look at the settings, it will tell you it is a 2 terabyte disk. Look at that. The disk is 2 terabyte. The actual size is 9 megabytes. That's the trick, right? It is dynamically allocated. The reason we can do this is also known as, in other words, other companies, some companies call it thin provisioning. So you actually allocate only 9 MB, but the virtual size represented to the operating system inside Fedora will be 2 terabytes. Actual consumption will be very low. The location, yes, go ahead.
In future, if you want, you can increase it. That's the point there, right?
Yeah, it will automatically grow. If you store more stuff in Fedora, it will automatically become big. The actual size will keep on becoming big and grow until a point where this machine starts to complain. Well, available GB is 594.8, whatever that number is, right? Available is only that much. So if you go beyond that, then your actual disk capacity available on the physical hardware is not more than the available. So if your actual consumption here, 9 MB, if that grows beyond this number, then we have a problem. And at that time, the thing will fall apart. It will crash, right? So the actual physical available storage is the real boundary. This is a pretend limit. This is the actual consumption. You can grow it and just store more because the apparent disk capacity visible to the OS is 2 terabytes. So it will keep on filling it until this space gets full. And when that gets full, Mac will complain and the VM will crash. Things like that. That will happen. And the Mac will complain, you're running out of disk and I cannot do anything like that. So that's the situation you will run into. You will see that the file actually created is located in this location. Let's go to that location. So we'll copy that location. Where is this machine sitting? So we'll go open that machine, the location in Finder, and you will find that this machine is sitting in this folder. What is that folder location? Let's go see that. It is somewhere called in my computer. There is this VirtualBox VMs, and then there is this something else, and in that something else has the 3 files. These 3 files actually logically represent the something else machine going to run Fedora. It's not running Fedora yet. It will run Fedora eventually. And if you look at these files, they're not big. This is 2 kilobytes. This file is like 2 kilobytes. And this file is the disk, and it is 9.4 megabytes. That's the 2 terabyte actual, the 9 MB actual 2 terabyte virtual allocated disk is that VDI disk that you're looking at, the orange object. If you look at the VBox file here and try to open it into an editor, like I'm going to do right now, we'll examine what does it contain actually. What does that file really contain? So it is basically an XML file representing the disk, the machine, the components inside this computer that we just created. This something else machine is represented by this file called VBox file that you saw. It's a 2 kilobyte, a 2 KB file. We'll go read it. And let me open it up again. Hold on. Let me read. There we go. So this is how it looks like. And this XML file, if you look at, it says, do not edit the file. I mean, that's okay. I understand. But I'm not going to edit it. But I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it for what it contains. So at the very top, this item number 8, if you look at, it is the entire definition of the machine itself between 8 and 56. If I expand 8, you will see the entire definition. Now in there, you will find in the VirtualBox segment, under that, there is a disk, plural, disks segment. Inside there, we have a disk, and that disk is the actual something else.vdi orange object that you saw here. This orange colored object, that's what we are looking at, is that disk. It has a VDI format. Its location is that file. There is also some extra data about it, about whether it's going to be first time running or not. It is going to be running first time, so it says yes. There are some CPU capabilities also defined. CPU is physical address extensions enabled, false. Long mode, true. APIC, true. Other extra large pages, true. The memory allocation we gave was 8192. The pointing device, which is not a mouse, but it is this pen in my hand. That's the pointing device for the USB tablet I'm using that showed up in the VM. This virtual RAM size, 16. Video capture card, IOPC, IOAPIC enabled, which is a BIOS capability. There is a USB controller. There is a network adapter. The network adapter is called this, the Intel type. It is in a NAT configuration. We'll understand what a NAT is in just a minute. There is also an audio adapter. There is storage controller. There are attached devices. And there is a bootable AHCI controller that emulates the disk connector, the storage controller that actually maps this VDI disk. And that's pretty much is the entire definition of the whole machine, which is inside that VirtualBox XML file. So basically, this is an XML file. It has an extension of .vbox, but that apart, it is actually just an XML file. This file is XML. That file is also XML, and it has characteristics about that describes this machine itself. If you look at the settings, you will find a one-to-one comparison between what the XML was and the capabilities that are described here. So what you're looking at is a virtual representation of the physical resource available in the real Macintosh, like here and here. This is the real Mac. This is a fake computer. It is not real. It is fake because I cannot touch it. Can I actually turn it on? You bet. But can I hold the disk in my hand? No, there is no such thing. Can I hold this disk in my hand? Yes, I can actually remove the disk out of my Macintosh and replace it with something else. Physical object in here. This available space is actual physical. This disk that we see in the settings is not really a disk. It is a file. It is just a 9.4 MB file that you saw sitting in this folder. I cannot hold it in my hand it is virtual. That's why this idea of virtual machine comes into play, right? Similarly, there is an audio card, which is also a virtual card, and a network card, which has a NAT adapter, and there are no other cards here, not attached, only one. There is a USB port, I think, here, and there are some storage we talked about. There is a fake display card, which has a video memory of 16 MB RAM. There is system capability itself, which shows that it has a base memory of 8192. There is a floppy drive, which I want to remove. I don't want to use floppy. There is also an optical drive, which is I will use to connect a Fedora image. And I can boot my Fedora and set it up if I want to. Not that I will do. I will not do that right now, but I could. Takes like 10 minutes to just set up a OS, given all the setup that it has to do and download all the stuff. So we'll not do that part. You can do it yourself later on. If you get stuck, if you want to do something on your own and you want to experiment, you're welcome to connect with me even after the class. You don't have to like wait for the session. I must tell you this. Let me tell you that I am here to help you succeed in what you're doing in your company, in your work, in your day-to-day life. In the program, I run it for you, which means that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday that I run this session at 4 o'clock. After that, I'm actually waiting to help you. Apparently, I like you to know that you can call me, contact me, and get in touch with me through a variety of methods to make sure that you are able to accomplish your goal. I am here to help you, and I will absolutely immediately respond to make it happen. That is my full-time job. I want you to know that. This is not a regular college. I just want you to know, because yes, you are going through Bellevue College, but that's not how it works. I am here to actually help you. So please, as you go along, if you get stuck, immediately contact me, and I will absolutely promise to immediately help you. I will do that. That's what I do every single day, and I'm doing it for you. And right now, it is a very small group, so I can actually fully dedicate to you, to making you successful. So it is a good idea to do something, whatever you're doing, in the context of what we are doing in cloud computing. And if you need help, contact me. I will help you, even if it is not a session day. Like even if it's not a Monday or Wednesday or Friday, you can contact me on Saturday and Sunday also. I know you're working, so you don't have to spend, during the day, you may be busy with Boeing. In the evenings, it's okay to call, okay to talk, okay to, Slack chat, or, whatever you need, a video conference. I welcome that. So I really, really encourage that you do stuff as you go along. And we'll do more exercises, and that will give you more opportunity to do stuff. So that's coming up soon. Okay, so we discussed these things. What we are really doing in this virtual machine setup is virtualizing our laptop. In this example, I virtualized and created this machine, and I'll delete this machine right now. I'll delete that. Just like that. Remove and delete all the files. As soon as I delete the files, this file goes away. And so that is a trash. The only thing that I have is this Cloud Genius workstation, which is that file is represented in this machine, or rather the machine is represented in those files, and I'm going to start that machine once again. Close this one out, close this also out, and the machine is now again getting ready. Having discussed these parts, what I just showed you is the idea in here, is that we were able to take some physical machine which has resources. What do we have? Typically 3 classes: compute, storage, and network. We were able to partition this into a smaller machine that we call the Cloud Genius workstation. And we were able to carve out a portion of that physical machine and use this for a specific purpose. The purpose is our boot camp. We are going to use this machine to run exercises so that we don't bother and disturb this machine. We're creating a separate area, and we will create mess, lot of mess right here. So it doesn't destroy your computer. It's still safe. It is kept separate because we want to make mistakes. We want to learn. We want to do this, do that, experiment, practice, identify what works, what doesn't. And in the process, things will go wrong, and we know that. And that's okay. That's the whole reason why we have this machine. is that that's where we want to make mess. So we can always recover from issues, recover from mistakes. So how do we recover from a mistake? We have to go and understand this idea that there is this machine capability to take a snapshot. And if this something that I'm talking about is too simple, too trivial for you, please tell me. I can skip this. I don't need to tell you how to take a snapshot and how to restore it. If you know this already, please tell me that I should skip, and I will skip. But I'm just giving you brief as to what does it take to take a snapshot. So you just click OK, and that will take a snapshot. But before I take a snapshot, I want to tell you that I will, first of all, let me just take a snapshot right now. So here is a clean snapshot, a new machine I have. I'm going to take a snapshot. I'm going to call it the clean install and say, okay, that snapshot is already there and it's going to get created and is now ready. Now here, what I will do is I'll create mess. How do I create a mess? I will open up some command line, and in there on the desktop, I will create some mess right now deliberately. So that command line is opening up, and here I go to the desktop, and there I create some mess. So now I have mess on the desktop. Where do you see that? Right there. This is my mess. So I just created it, but ouch, I made mess. Now what? No worries. You just shut down the machine. And by the way, again telling you, if this is too trivial for you, please tell me to skip ahead. I will skip. I'm shutting down my machine because I made a mess, right? Okay. So I would like to recover from my mess. How do I recover? I look at my machine and look at my snapshots right there. Here, there are these global tools and then machine tools, and then you will find the snapshot area. And there you will find my current state, which is the one that is changed, and a clean install. Click that one is the image that I captured of the machine before I created mess. Right? I have my mess in the current state. That's where my mess is. But I want to go back to the clean one. So I go to click on the clean button and say restore. And again, read this very carefully. And I don't want to create another snapshot. So I uncheck that because I don't want another snapshot. I already have one, which is the clean one. And I restore my snapshot. Now my current state is matching the clean state. And if I now start the machine, my mess is gone. Let's go check it out. My desktop mess should be gone. Let's go find out. Do I have mess on my desktop? No. That's how you work. So you create a mess. I just illustrated the simple mess. I created some mess for you, and then I restored from snapshot. Gone. Mess is gone. It is just like it was to begin with. That's the way you restore your work as you go along, because you will create mess. And I want you to create mess. But I want you to create this mess in your virtual machine for the duration of this boot camp. Please work in the machine. After that boot camp is over, you can keep this VM if you like. It is open source, but you are free to do whatever you want. Like, you want to use a Linux machine directly on your laptop. That's okay. I mean, totally, I encourage that. Do that yourself later on. But for right now, for the boot camp, it is easy to just play in this virtual machine. Okay, having understood that piece, let's go back to this whiteboard. What I want to do now is to begin some exercises in the context of storage abilities, in the context of cloud, like we discussed, software-defined storage, these 4 different types. And I want to actually use this object storage as the very first example. And what I want to really do is to discuss this idea that I think Gustavo had, is he mentioned serverless. And so the idea of serverless is something that I want you to understand, is that this is a marketing term, which means there is a server. Maybe not one, but many, many servers. There are many, many servers, but they still call it serverless. Why? They're lying. Yes, they are lying. They are not saying the right thing. The right thing to say this is that you don't have to manage a server. Doesn't mean that there are no servers. It means that you and I don't have to manage a server when we are using serverless. That's what it means. The marketing way of describing that is kind of, little bit of hyperbole, little bit of exaggeration, serverless. But no, there is servers. You just don't have to worry about them. That's the point. That's why they're calling it serverless. It is similar to this Salesforce.com company calling 1-800 no software. Are you kidding me? There is a ton of software there, but no software, meaning you don't have to set it up. Fine. That's the way you should think about serverless, that you don't have to manage them. It is completely managed for you. And that is how serverless is thought about. Now, when it comes to serverless, there are two ways to think about, two components of servers. One is where you store data, store code, store other stuff. And then the other part of serverless is execution. When you execute this code, and when you execute this code to manipulate the data, that piece can also be done without you having to worry about a server. And therefore, it is also called serverless execution. Again, the word less is kind of a bad choice of words for lack of clarity and introduces confusion, but there is a server, there is probably a bunch of servers, but you don't have to worry about it, because all you're really doing is putting your code and your data in some storage, like a bucket, and then you execute this code. But where do you execute it? It's kind of magical. At least they tend to pretend to tell you that it is magical. And so if you go here and look at this Lambda thing here, that Lambda, that is a place to execute your piece of code. You can create a function. You can create that from scratch, and you give it a name, and you give it a runtime. You can run a C# or Go or Java or Node or Python or any of these languages. And then you identify an existing role you might have, or create a new role, and you create a function. And when you create a function, you then have to fill it up with code. You have to write that code, put it in a bucket, and execute it. So that execution part we will do somewhat later, at some other time later on. But right now, for immediate gratification, what I would like you to focus on is how can we create a website, I should say a silly looking website, without worrying about a server. Let's call it serverless. That's how it goes, right? So silly looking website, yes, it will be silly, and we will be able to create it just like that. So let's go do that very, very quickly. It should take 2 minutes. You should be able to do it with me as we go along. So it's an easy exercise. You should be able to go to Amazon and open up the S3 area, which is in the storage section. And storage is here. So S3 there. And then you create a bucket there. Like I have this bucket. What did I call the last time? I think I deleted that bucket. I think I had a bucket called I don't know. That was the name, right? I don't know is the name of my bucket. Fine. So that's the name. And I create it. And I say next. And I say next. And I create the bucket. So my bucket is now created. It is empty. You know that, right? So this I don't know bucket is empty. Fine. What I would like to do now in that bucket is create a silly looking website without having to start a new machine, without having to worry about running a server. All I really want is a website, and I will create the HTML. And I will also create some picture in there, like add a picture in there. And I'll put these things right in that bucket that I just created. And I'll say to Amazon, hey, can you please convert this into a static website? Can you please convert this bucket into a static website, because I have put an index HTML file with a picture there. So can you make a site out of it? So Amazon will say, yeah, we'll do it. And that's it. That's all it takes. So create a HTML file and add a picture. Like I'll do that right now. What I'll do is I'll go to my notepad somewhere, like notepad here, maybe here. Yeah. So I'm opening up Atom editor. In that Atom, what I'll do is I'll create a new file. A bunch of projects open already. So open up Atom again. And then a new file. So here we go. We create a new file. We'll call it an HTML file. So HTML file begins with what? HTML. And I'm very bad at writing code because I generate code most of the time. But I'll try. So let's go see. HTML head. Then we have the end of head. Then we have body. And then we have end of body. And then we have end of HTML. That's how the structure is. Now in the body, I'll say, or rather in the head, I'll say this is the head of the site. And here in the body, I will say this, welcome Cloud Geniuses. There we go. And then I'll put an image. There we go. That's a silly looking website. So save it. And save it in a folder on my desktop by the name, I will call it index.html. Right there. And save. So the HTML file saved. Awesome. I'll quickly open it up locally on the desktop itself. So I don't need this VM right now. You can do this without the VM. So I'm shutting it down. I will like to look at that index file, which is right here. And that index file, I would like to double click and open with a browser. Come on, browser. Where are you? Safari browser. There we go. So it opens up right there, right? That's how it should look like. It's an ugly looking site. And I want to make sure that I upload that index HTML. I want to check the edit. I want to edit that HTML just a minute, making sure that I'm not making a mistake in the head description. I think I want to check that. So head, I think this head is not necessary. So let's go get rid of it. As simple as that. Yeah, so open this index HTML again in a Safari browser. And I see that. Okay, sweet, bad looking website, whatever. That's the beginning point. So I want to now upload this index HTML into the bucket called I don't know. So here we go. I take that item and upload it. Add files. And I'll go to my desktop where I will find my index HTML and choose it. Choose to upload it. Next. And next. And next. And upload. That's all I did. Nothing else. I go back to now my S3 section. I identify my bucket called I don't know. And there I have the index HTML sitting right there. Sweet deal. So I did exactly what I said I would do, which is I said I'll take an index HTML file. By the way, if you want that index HTML and you're not familiar with writing in HTML files, I'll just paste it for you. So in Slack chat, you will find this HTML file popping up just now. So here is your HTML file coming up in Slack chat. So you can just copy and paste and do it yourself also. No big deal. What you need to do is open up your S3 bucket, create a new bucket, dump in this index HTML file into the browser, into the bucket, and then ask Amazon to please convert my bucket into what? into a static website. So I sent that HTML file to you in Slack chat. You should see it by now. The file you can just download and use it as is. It should be, oh, I forgot to close the IMG tag. Sorry, let me edit that. So there is a IMG tag closure is missing. Now it's good. Is it? Refresh. I think I've made a little mistake in index HTML, but that is not going to be too strict. HTML is not very strict in checking. So it is very permissive. As you know, in HTML, it is not a strict language. You know, it's okay with mistakes. Like I know I have forgot to close the IMG tag. This tag has to be closed like that. And then the structure becomes complete. I did not bother to complete, but it did not complain on me, as you can see. Browsers are very, very permissive to mistakes. I just want you to know that if you did not know that already. So I'm going to live with the mistake. It's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt. The point is, I have uploaded this index HTML into a bucket. And what I want to do now is tell Amazon to magically make this bucket into a website. How do you do that? You just go to the properties section in the bucket. And in there is this, where is the properties? Hold on, I think I must have missed something here. Okay, you have to go back to the bucket level, not the file level, but at the Amazon S3 and at the bucket item, I don't know bucket level. That's where you will find that there is this management button and permissions button and properties button. That's where you will find a button in the properties section that you can let Amazon know that you have the interest of making this bucket into a static web hosting bucket, static website hosting. You have to let them know by clicking it, and you have to tell them to use this bucket as to host a website. And then you have to tell them your index document is going to be, of course, index HTML. That's your primary beginning point. So you save that by calling out the index document and then save. By doing this, you have automatically converted your bucket into a static website. Did you run a server to do that? No. Is it serverless? Not really. There is a bunch of servers running to run the S3 service itself. It is just that you don't have to manage it.
But what's the URL for this static site?
Right
there.
Right there. Yeah, they give you right there.
And will you be able to create alias? Or I mean,
yes. You can put aliases. No doubt about that. You can put. Let me just quickly tell you. You look at this site here. You look at this site. You're familiar with this one? Have you seen it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
This site is a static site. Completely static. It is right in the bucket in here. I'll show you which bucket. The bucket is the cloudseminar.com bucket. That's the site. Yes, it also has an index HTML file. And it looks like this. The whole thing is a static site. That is why you see that this site is so easy for me to manage. Because all I do is, take my files and say, hey, take it. I don't have a server to manage it, and there's nothing to do. I mean, that's how the ease of use here is to just make that site. Where is that? Well, let me go to the right bucket here. So this I don't know bucket will go identify its properties and its static website hosting, and the endpoint I would like to click. The access is denied because we still have to make sure that the file is readable by public. So we'll go and permission structure. We'll go and identify, make it accessible by everybody to be able to list objects. and to be able to read buckets. No, reading permission is not necessary. So list object should be okay. And the item itself has to be made sure that we have the item which is inside the bucket, which is only one item, which is this index file. Even that file has to be made public. So let's go see the permissions. For public permissions for that file are everyone to be able to read the object, and you save. And now you go back to the bucket and look at its properties and look at the static website hosting and look at that link. And what do you see? You see the static website right there. I will paste that link also for you in the browser in Slack chat. So you can also visit my site. I just made it up.
So how do you change the URL to your own domain or?
Yeah, you can do that. I'll tell you how. So good questions, by the way. Very, very good questions. So the way you do that, let me identify. So open up command line and show you what I'm talking about. So you asked this question, how do I rather, before giving you this example, let me give you a slightly simpler example. Here is an example of a site that I have. There is also a static site. It is a slightly simple example to understand. So I'm going to dig it. And you see what it shows you. I'm going to give you a link also, so you can also dig it. The link is in Slack. So here we go, Slack again. And I will paste that link for you to dig locally in Slack. That will give you a complete understanding of how do you create a canonical name reference to your name and your subdomain like that. So what you would do is, and I just use some words here, canonical name and your subdomains. I did not describe that to you, but I'll do that just a minute. What I'm showing you right now is I looked at this website, which is also one of my domains. I'll open that domain right here, and also a static website that looks like this. And this is something that you should be able to create effortlessly in a matter of like 10 minutes. Like really, we'll do that. By the way, there's an exercise just like that. We'll do that exercise in a few minutes. What I want to show you is that this website that you look at, the blog.fungibleclouds.com website, if I dig it, dig, by the way, is a command to look up network DNS capabilities, and you will see that it is referring an A record, and there is no entry for the A record, the no answer section. So there is an answer available, but the answer section has a canonical name reference to this longish name. So the actual name that I would like to have is this, but what Amazon gives me is that. Very long, very difficult to remember, right? So what I'm talking about at this moment is the idea of what I call alias. An alias is something like this. Like, you know, we have our friend here. His name is Sridhar. And to some people, you know, Sridhar can be difficult to pronounce and remember. So what does Sridhar do? He calls himself Sri. Is that right, Sri?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sridhar Kura, that's his name. If you look at his profile, his sign-in name is just Sri. Somewhere I saw that. Maybe but he confirms that. So it's what is this? Like, you know, this is a simpler name compared to this is slightly difficult name, right? So he has simplified it. So this simplification is called aliasing, right? You have the longish name that we had here, what we got from Amazon. What did I get from Amazon? This. It's a very long name. It has the name of I don't know what. I cannot even remember. It says, let me just put that in the editor. So Sublime editor, and I'll just put that right here. It's so difficult to remember that. Who's going to remember this thing? I don't. It says, I don't know .s3 website dash us west 2 Amazon. Oh my God, Amazon.com. I want to simplify this, right? How do I simplify? I want to make it something like, my site.mydomain.com. Like that. That will be nice, right? Simple. I can do that by simply putting an alias. What I would like to say to my DNS system is that my site.mydomain.com is an alias for what? For this long complex thing that I don't want to say is the right side portion of the alias. On the left side, I like it, my site.mydomain.com, simple and sweet. I can tell everybody, they can understand it, beautiful. So this idea that I just described is called, you know what it's called in DNS name? It's called canonical name. So that's how you begin to describe longish names like what you see here into short and simple names like what you see here. Now, if you look at that name again, what I have is the answer section here, describe the same concept right there. And let's go put that here. What I see is this line number 15 is actually a canonical name representation of this longish, whatever that thing is that I don't want to remember to say. It's so long. It's blog.fungibleclouds.com, s3, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. The problem is exactly that, is nobody wants to remember these long things. So they put a short name to it. It's like Sridhar and Sri, like Robert and Bob, and like that. So maybe you get the point. That is canonical name or CNAME representation in DNS systems. Now, how do you tell Amazon to do exactly what I just said? How do you tell? So Amazon and all the bucket systems have this concept of a name has to match the intended name in the future. Like I have this intended name, the blog.fungibleclouds.com, or another intended name I might have is mysite.mydomain.com. If that is the intention, you should create a bucket with exactly matching domain name. A bucket name should match the DNS name. What does that mean? Let me show you in another example in another editor. Opening up, what I am doing is asking you to match. Hold on, let me get rid of this. So remove project folder. There we go. Now what I'm talking about is this segment has to match this segment. See, that is actually matching. Do you see that? The rest of this is not matching, which is fine. This is not the bucket name. The bucket name has to match the intended future DNS name. That's a requirement. So I see that and I do that, and I had this name already in mind. So I create a bucket name just like that. And you can see it here. You can go to Management Console, go to Amazon S3 and find that there is this bucket. It is called blog.fungibleclouds.com. And that bucket is a public bucket in Virginia location, and it was created in August 3rd, 2012. And that was the time that I created this website. And I haven't bothered to update it since then. It was just an academic example. So I have it there, and it is sitting, and it works. You know how much money I spend on that site? Do you know? Can you guess? Can you estimate how much money would I be spending on that site for last so many years that I haven't?
Nothing.
Literally nothing. Yes. It is almost free. Why is it free? Because AWS S3 pricing is like that. AWS S3 pricing is dirt cheap. So if you look at the pricing, okay, pricing in the AWS. So you go to AWS S3 pricing, it is how much? This is the GovCloud region. So I don't want to use GovCloud. I want to use the regular cloud. Why am I seeing GovCloud pricing? Remove that. Okay, so here is the GovCloud pricing, and the pricing is actually dirt cheap. So let's go see that. Where is the storage pricing? Oh, they don't show me easily. Come on. Yeah, there it is. So here's the price. For first 50 terabytes every month, per gigabyte, I will be paying 0.02. So 2 cents per GB. It's a pretty small number already. And my site itself is not even 100 kilobytes. It's a very small site. So practically I'm paying virtually nothing. Occasionally I'll see a 1 cent bill. That's how dirt cheap it is, bucket storage. And I don't have to manage it. This site has not gone down. I monitor it for last so many years. It hasn't gone down except one time. When Amazon S3 was down, you might have heard of this thing. S3 went down a couple of years ago. S3 outage. You will also know that there was this issue where Amazon S3 went down, and as a consequence, a whole host of sites in the US and worldwide apparently went down because many people use these S3 bucket services. So here is the what a typo took down S3, the backbone of internet. So there was this news how a typo took down S3. You should read these things, by the way. When you read and understand, what you will really find out is that what I am now going to discuss is the idea of what I call availability and durability of these services of storage. So there are two distinctly different things: availability and durability. I hope you know the difference in the two. The idea here, availability and durability, are two distinctly different concepts. The concept in availability is that something is available to me all the time. If it is not available all the time, then we have a problem. What's going on is that we have to make sure that we can access the object, access the item, access the site, access the service anytime we feel like. And so if you cannot access, that's a loss of availability. That's when sites go down, when things are not accessible. Right? When I cannot access a site, cannot access a service, I call it down. That's what downtime comes from. If you look at the guarantee that S3 provides for availability guarantee, you will find it is, I think, about 3 nines. So let's go check. AWS S3 availability guarantee. What is it? So it'll come up with that number. They'll tell you. They'll claim whatever guarantee they provide, and you will find that in the FAQ section, they tell you that the availability guarantee is 99.99. So it is 4 nines. So the guarantee for S3 is 99.99 as a SLA provided by Amazon's S3, which means it will be down like a few minutes every year. Could be down every few minutes every year, could be. That's the downtime expectation. So it's pretty low. 99.99 is fairly a good number for availability statistics. However, if you look at the durability concept, it is not this concept, but a different concept. And that concept is that, will my data survive? Even if I cannot get to it right now, I know it is down, I cannot access it, but can my data survive? Or is it going to die? Or is it going to get destroyed? That's the question about durability. And let's go understand how much of a durability guarantee does Amazon provide. Let's go see that. So we'll go see the availability guarantee. How durable is Amazon storage? And this is their website. We're going straight to the source, asking them, what is the guarantee that you provide for durability? And count the number of nines here. the last time I did, it's too many nines. Last time I carefully counted, there are 11 nines. It is, I think, still 11 nines. Maybe it's like a little bit more, a little bit less, but that's besides the point. It's a very high number. The durability level corresponds to an annual average expected loss of data of 0.0000001% of objects. That's what we're talking about. It's a pretty darn good durability. That means your data is not going to die, practically speaking. Yes, if you are stuck in that percent, it will die. It's likely to die. But generally speaking, you're fairly okay, in terms of durability of data. You put the data in a bucket, it's going to be there. It's not going to go away. You may not be able to access it. That's the availability part. That is a low number compared to 99.9999 goes on up to 11 nines. Lots of nines. It's a very high durable service. And by the way, other clouds also provide very, very high availability and durability numbers, pretty similar to these guys. So now what we are looking at is a very robust way to store data and a very, very easy place to convert into a static site. And also dirt cheap. I mean, cheap as in ridiculously cheap. You saw the pricing. And so that's what this example website is. Now, how do I write all this and make it look so nice and fancy? Do I know how to write CSS? No, don't get me wrong. I'm not a visual developer. I'm not an artist. So I don't write and draw and make it look cool and fancy. What I do is I use generators to make it look good for us. So if you look at this site, this was an ugly looking site because I hand coded it, right? But we will be able to use some generation software that will generate good looking, decent looking, half decent looking sites for us to consume very, very effortlessly, very, very quickly in the context of using storage services in the cloud. And we'll do that exercise. That exercise has a bunch of steps written down somewhere. Let's go find where they are. So I'll go here to the Cloud Genius website in the technology section. And that's where they are written down somewhere here. So I'll go find it. It begins right there. So I'll give that link to you in Slack chat. You should see that coming in. In Slack, you will find a link to begin. That's where the exercise begins from. So I think the first part of that exercise I already did, which is right there. I created a simple HTML file, just like that, and I put that in a bucket, and then I converted that bucket to readable by everyone on the internet, make the bucket as a static site hosting and pointing it to the index HTML. I just did that, right? So you can follow along. It is mentioned here. But what I would like to do next is to go to the generation part to make it a slightly decent looking site as opposed to that ugly site. Now this decent looking site, which is a subjective term, so I think this is a decent site. You may not agree with it, that's okay. But this is also a somewhat half decent looking site. And you and I are able to create these sites almost magically out of automation, because we don't have to code, because there are tools made available in the open source that make things for us. So let's go see some of those tools right now. One of the tools that we'll use today is called Octopress. This tool, available right here on GitHub, is the tool that we will be using in the exercise which you are going to do right now in here. You can see it. It is going to use Octopress software right there, and we'll use it. It is this software. It is a static site generator. It generates websites based on whatever you want. And you can define the language, the English, the pictures. You write the pictures, you create the pictures, you write the language. But everything else, the structure, the look and feel is created for you. And you get to choose from a variety of templates. So that Octopress is one such tool. There are many, many such tools. Let's go see some of them. If you by the way, this Octopress thing, it uses Ruby language under the hood. You don't need to know Ruby, but it is using Ruby. You don't need to use Ruby to use this. It is a good thing to have if you know some programming languages, but you don't need to know. Next one is the one called Pelican. Pelican, I think it's called Get Pelican. Get Pelican is the software, also very, very similar to this Octopress. And here is the source code for the same on GitHub. Where is GitHub? Right there. And so this is the open source software for static site generation using Python language. So it's a different language. Structure is, look and feel is slightly different, but also the same concept. It generates static sites for you. And all you need to do is take it, put it in a bucket, you're done. And rather, not done. You have to go Amazon and tell them, hey, I want to use this bucket as my site, my serverless site, my static site used and stored in a bucket. So I don't have to manage a server. I just get to use a site and I get the site. That's my goal. So now, use Pelican you can use. If you like Python, you should use this. Another one called Hugo. Hugo is a Go programming language based framework to generate static sites. That is this Go Hugo project available in GitHub that I currently use to create the Cloud Seminar. This site is a Hugo site. All this thing is written in plain text. Yes, no kidding, plain text. You want to see the source, what I do? I'll show it to you. Terminal and go to the cloudseminar.com website source and open it up in Atom. So the way I write, come on, show me. Atom. Okay, there we go. Add to this window, open a new window. Okay. Yeah. So here is the source code for that actual Cloud Seminar content. And you can see it like here. The Cloud Seminar, the very first thing, an online collaborative program meant for people like you. I wrote that in plain text. This is not code, this is English. Now let's go see the Cloud Seminar website. Same thing shows up here. Online collaborative program. I'm not writing code, I'm writing English, and it shows up in this site because of Hugo. Right there. That is another static site. And like that, there are a bunch of them, not just 3 static site generators. There's a whole list. Top 10 static site generators. So here's the top 10 list. Let's see, Jekyll, Hugo, Hexo, Gitbook, Octopress, Gatsby, Pelican, Brunch, Metalsmith. So goes on and on. Everybody and their brother can create it. It's open source. So people create their own stuff, give it to the open community, and people use it and enjoy and build and make money and all of that. So that's the idea. Now what I'll do is I'll use this thing called Octopress in our what is it called? The workstation. And we'll run through these steps using a static site generator to generate a somewhat half decent looking site and put that in a bucket and feel happy about it. See how easily it goes through, right? So I want to put this browser in the half of the screen, one half of the screen, and get my virtual machine on the other half. And then I'll follow through these steps pretty much like that, step by step. So let's go do that. What I would like to do is follow the steps. You can do this, by the way, with me as we go along. If you have a machine ready, the VM ready, you should be able to follow along, no problem. It's easy exercise. So first thing I want to get is the source code of this thing called Octopress. So how do you get the source code? Right there. That's the command. So you copy that command and paste it in the workstation, and that's how it goes. So you grab the workstation, put it on one half, open the terminal in the workstation, again, work inside this window, the workstation window, work inside that. You will be much better off. If you go and run it in your Macintosh, if you have one, you are not going to help yourself. You are going to potentially create trash in your Mac. So don't do that. Not the first time. You want to create mess, you want to create trash, do it right here in this workstation that is designed to create mess. So please, I know you have machines, you have expensive computers and Macintoshes and Linux machines. Some of you do. Don't bother. If you're doing it first time, just stick to the VM. You are better off. I promise you have this urge to go to the real computer, and you have terminal and all that good stuff. But please don't. Thank you, because you will call me to help fix that. So I will help you, but I'm just cautioning you right now to not create the mess to begin with in your real computer. Just protect it, and save yourself some time so that you can at least understand what's going on. And later on, yes, you're welcome to do whatever you like, and you're welcome to use your regular computers on your own once you know what's going on after that. So clone the repository. This cloning thing is basically making a copy, right? So I'm going to clone it. First of all, I'll check what I have. Nothing. I'll clone it like that. Yeah, there we go. So git clone is using the Git software to clone the entire repository from GitHub. It's basically a download. So think about it. I'm downloading this thing called Octopress from GitHub into my workstation. And I just did. So now I have it. Let me just adjust the window size a little bit. And I see that I have this Octopress folder available to me now. It just came down like 31st of March, like right now. 31st of March is this time zone is UTC. So this virtual machine runs in London time zone, and that's why we have the time showing us the 31st of March, but in US it is still 30th of March. So this 31st of March showed up Octopress. I would like to go inside that folder and then examine what do I have there. So I have these things. Awesome. Now what's the next step? We'll go back here and read. So we are to go inside that folder. That's important. When you're working with the command line, there are a couple of things I would like you to remember. One of them is that it can be a little bit challenged to copy and paste, like from here, copy, and then paste. Can be a little challenge. You can use the mouse, but if you're not a mouse person, like many of us are not, like some of the other people like me, I don't like to use mouse. So what do I do? How do I copy and paste? You still can use the same methods in Windows and Mac, like Control-C and Control-V and all that. However, when you come to the terminal and you try to press Control-C, what happens? It breaks the terminal. So if you want to paste in there, what do? You have to press something like, I want to copy the CD Octopress. So I select that and I copy by pressing the Control-C, Command-C on Macintosh. So I have my copied correctly, but I want to now come here and paste it. So I press Control-V and nothing happens. In fact, it types Control-V. That's not what I want. So what do? If I want to paste using keyboard, it is Control-Shift-V. That's how it goes. Control-Shift. Control-Shift-V for paste. Control-Shift-C for copy. If you want to copy this word Octopress, you say Control-Shift-C and you copy. And that is how the terminal works in the virtual machine. It is Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-V, as opposed to just Control-C, Control-V. Outside the terminal, in a browser here or other places in the Ubuntu machine, it is just the Windows way. Control-C, Control-V, no problem. But in the terminal, Control-C means break. So Control-Shift-V That's how it goes. Okay, we now understood the copy paste part. Some of us are keyboard persons, so it's useful to know that. Then what I would like to now do is to understand what we have in there, and you will find that this thing has a file called gem file. Now in Ruby language, what people have done is created a bunch of different helper software, and they have put that piece of software in this Ruby language, by the way. And this Ruby language developers have created a bunch of different useful pieces of software, and they have stored it all in this location. It's called Ruby Gems. That's where they dump every bit of piece of software that they find or they create. They just share with community, and there are tons and tons of good software available here called gems. Ruby language, gems is the name people use to describe prepared packages of Ruby software. That's why the name gems, Ruby gems. And you can search a gem. For example, you may have heard of this thing called Rails. So Ruby on Rails is a gem called Rails, right there. It has been downloaded 126 million times. It's a fairly popular gem, Rails gem. We're not using the Rails gem, but we'll use other gems. So which gems do you want to use today? This developer of Octopress has given us a list of those gems that he wants to use. And his name, by the way, is github.com, Octopress. What's his name? His name is iMathis, which stands for, this iMathis person is actually Brandon Mathis. He's the developer of Octopress. He created this piece of software, and he gave us this package that we have downloaded it. And in that package, you will find that this file called gem file, which contains all the gems that Brandon wants to use. So we'll cat that gem file, and we'll see what it contains. And so Brandon describes a very succinct list of gems that Octopress needs. So he's called out that this Octopress software depends on these exact gems. For example, the Rake gem version 10, the Jekyll gem, the Octopress hooks gem, the Octopress date format gem, this gem, that gem, and all these gems, including Sinatra gem at the very end. So Sinatra is a gem. We can find it right here in search for a gem called Sinatra. And you will find that Sinatra is available in version 2.01, and there are 61 million downloads of Sinatra. And you can find that this Sinatra thing has 83 total available versions. This Octopress software in the gem file specifies that Sinatra version 142 is what they want, not the latest one, not the 201 version, but 142. That's the one he wants, this version. So he calls it out. He says, and very, very specifically says, in my gem file, I called out 142 version of Sinatra. So that's what you will get for me. So we have to go and get these gems. And so in Ruby, it is actually very easy to get these gems. What we need to do is to make sure that we use a tool to get these gems downloaded. So we'll run the tool, and the tool will go to Ruby Gems website, bring them down locally, and run it, install it, and set it up automatically. So we don't have to do stuff. This tool is called Bundler. Bundler is also a gem. You can see that Bundler is a gem. It is downloaded 233 million times, and that is the gem Bundler available. We can check whether we have Bundler gem already installed right in our workstation. I suspect we do, but I'm just checking. So say gem list and see in the list of gems, do we have Bundler? I think we do. So it will come back and say that it does. So there is this gem Bundler already installed. So we can just use it. And so that's what I will do. that I don't need to install gem bundler already because I have it. But if I decide, I can install it again if I like. That's not a big deal. You can install bundler and it will install a newer version of gem. So now if you say which versions of bundler do we have? Earlier we had 1.15.4. Now we have 1.15.4 and 1.16.1. So two different versions of bundler gem are available. Okay, we understand that the latest version will be used unless the gem file calls out something different. In that case, whatever it calls out will be used. Having understood that, I will now use this bundler gem to install other gems. So all these gems I need, and they need to be brought down to my computer from this location, the RubyGems.org website. So I will tell my bundler to go to RubyGems and get these gems for me, please. That's what I will do. So you can do that by saying bundle install. Bundle install. So this bundle install step basically looks at the gem file and says, I will read that gem file and go to the location it specifies, and bundle install step will look at that gem file and go install all the gems from that website. So it is doing that right now, and it is installing it. It should take a minute and should finish it off. Now, what is going on right now? It is actually going to that RubyGems website, downloading these gems, and it has installed how many gems? 53 gems. That was not that a long a list. The gem file had only 13 items, but it installed 53 items. Do you know why?
Can gems be packed inside of other gems?
Yes, dependencies. So there are other things, dependent gems that are also brought down, and so now we have all other gems also that are necessary for execution. So the gem file itself specifies only 13, but the actual list of gems installed are 53. So that step is taken care of. Our bundle is ready for use. So now we have to install a theme. A theme is what makes it look different. Like the look and feel that you see here is the theme that comes by default with Octopress. That's what I will be using, and that theme is what I want to install. I can install that theme by running this step. If you look at that collection of products, collection of folders that I currently have, you will find this is what I have. It still doesn't show me anything other than a new file that was created called gemfile.lock. This lock file was created because I ran the bundle install step. So it created a lock. It's a dependency map, and we should actually see these things. So I'll go Atom editor, open the current folder in Atom inside the virtual machine, and you will find here a representation of the Octopress repository in which we are looking at the gem file, and then a dependency map containing all the 53 gems that got installed in the gemfile.lock. This lock file contains all the dependencies that are necessary for the execution of the gem bundle. So we have them in a dependency map laid out in form of a graph, and they are all correctly bundled and available in that lock. What you will also see is as I run the next command, which is to install a theme. Currently, there is only one theme available, the classic theme available already. And we'll have the ability to install other themes. So we'll go and install that step, bundle exec rake install. It will install the default Octopress theme. What it will do, you can actually watch what it does. So we'll go and put this on the side a little bit, or maybe make this full screen and put the Atom editor on one half And as a terminal on the other half, it is somewhat tricky to manipulate this window. You have to look at in Ubuntu, you have to look at this section, specifically look for this button to unmaximize. It is not very obvious. That button will help you unmaximize anything you want, and you can put it on one half and take the other window and put it on the other half, and like that. So that will give you a 50-50 view of whatever you are dealing with. And now what I would like to do is bundle exec-rake install, and you will find it will do some things. Let's go see what it does. So we'll install that theme, and what it did was created a new folder called source. That folder is new. It also copied the classic theme from the original location into the source here. That theme from the classic theme was copied over into the source folder. You will also see it created a folder called SAS. That folder got created, and it copied the classic theme SAS into the SAS folder. These are the classic SASE CSS style sheets that were copied also. You will also see that it created a public folder. This public folder is currently empty. It's just a folder. Now, it also created another directory called underscore posts inside the source folder, like here. And in that folder is where we will create our content in English. We'll create our content in that folder called the underscore post folder, and we'll run the generator to generate a good looking, half decent looking site. That site will dump itself in the public folder. The result will dump in the public. Currently the public folder is empty. So that's what we will do now, is to write some blog posts like you see here in the example. Where is that example? Here. So there are these few blog posts written down already in 2012. We'll do some right now. We'll go and look at what do we have as the next step in our website. As a next step is to actually create some posts. So I will create them. What I will do is create a post. And actually, I'll just copy these three things together in one shot and create 3 posts for us. So it's easy for me to copy and paste. So what I'm doing is, in my post folder, which is currently empty, I will create 3 new posts. So I'll paste that command I copied from the website, paste it. And 1, 2, and 3 posts are getting created. There we go. So we have first post and a second post and a third post. These are empty right now, but if you look at them carefully, you will find that they are pretty much empty. Let's go see that. See what we have. You have a date of creation, you have a title there, but then the body is line number 8 and below is empty. Hey, this is empty. Fine. That's my blog post for today. That's my first blog post. The second one is hello. That's the second post. Save it. And the third post is an image of something, right? So we'll just keep it simple. Keep it simple for now. Save. So I have 3 blog posts. First says this is empty. Second says hello. And third one, keep it simple. So 3 posts, close the windows. By the way, a way to manage Atom Editor in this virtual machine, it's a good idea to close out these windows that you edit something and then you have to close that window. Keeping that window closed is going to help you in the program, because we will deal with a lot more detailed and more complex things as we go along. And if you have a bunch of different windows open like this and like this, and like that and like that. That will cause trouble for you, in that you will accidentally type something by fat fingering, by accidentally hitting the keyboard. You might change something as we go along, and being diligent is important. Therefore, I'm just suggesting that you please close the window once you're done doing it, editing a file. Make sure to close the windows. That's a much better approach to dealing with Atom Editor, is with closed windows. So when you want to go to a file, just go there, look at it, modify it, and then close it. That's how I would suggest that you operate. It'll reduce the amount of trouble you have to go through in the long run. Okay, we have 3 posts created. But what's the next step? How do I get to see the website? And that's what I really want to do. So I'll do that step. And what I've done is, I see that I want to now go to the next lesson and generate some site code. That code should show up in the public folder right there, which is still empty right now. I have created my source posts right here in the posts_post folder. I have 1, 2, and 3 files. I want to now generate some code. How do you generate code? That's the next question. So let's go find out that piece. Okay, so there is a command for that.
Take a break.
Break is a good idea. Let's take it. So we'll generate code and we'll play with next time. Let's start a break timer. Timer for 7 minutes. And there we go. So we are taking a break right now.
Hi, Nilesh.
Yes, hi.
Hi, this is Gustavo. So I actually have to drop off, but I'll definitely watch the remaining session on my own.
Yes, please. Yes, please. By the way, a quick question for you, Gustavo. How are you?
Yeah.
How are you finding it? Is it useful? Is it too fast? Too slow? How is the speed? How is it?
It's very useful. It's very useful. It's just finding the time to read through all the material.
So I would like to tell you one thing, right? Finding time is always a challenge. I know we have full-time jobs. So, the video recordings are available. And I would like to make sure that you get access to it. I know the program that we have is set so that access to the program becomes, broken off. It disconnects you after 100 days of the bootcamp. So it just disables your login. And I know that is not a good, it's too short a time for you. So if you need more time, I will gladly extend it for you. I know there are people who in many companies who have taken the program and they are working full time. So it is difficult to find time to work on these things. So what I do is I extend access. You just have to ask me. I know the access will expire at 100 days or something like that after the boot camp is finished, but don't worry about it. If you need more time, just ping me on Slack or something and we'll give you more access. No problem there. Right? Okay. Just want you to know. So don't feel the concern that you have to finish the program right in the boot camp. That's not necessary. You can, I understand you have full-time jobs to do. So, and you have other things in life. This is not the whole thing. So take your time. It is not going to go away. And if you run out of time, I will extend. No worries.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.
By the way, other people, please tell me, how are we doing it? Is it good, bad, slow, fast, useful, not useful, boring, interesting? Tell me. I need to know. Please.
They probably went to the break already.
I know.
Thank you.
I understand. Thank you. Where are you already on it? Hey guys, are you back? Hello. Anybody? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question to you, and before the break, or rather in the break, was, which I know you're on break, so I'm talking to myself, is how are we doing? Is it good? Is it useful? Is it bad? Is it slow? Is it boring? Is it productive? What do you think? Tell me. Like, please tell me if you don't like it. I would like to know that directly on my face. I actually want to hear that because I want to make corrections. I want to make changes to what you need. I want to adjust the program exactly to what you expect it to be. And I will do that, but I cannot do that without your help. So please tell me, how are we doing?
Well, I for one like the hands-on stuff, so this is working for me because we're actually going through the examples and I can follow along. That's how I learn best, at least.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you not like? I know it's a hard one, but you can take your time to think through and tell me, because I really, really want to hear what you would like me to change. That is something that I really ask for. And so you don't have to tell me right now, but anytime you feel like something that you need to know, that I need to know, please tell me. Call me, text me, iMessage me, Slack chat with me, video conference, one-on-one, group conversations, anything is fine. As you know, I need to seek that feedback because without that, I cannot succeed. And my success is to make you, get you want whatever you want. So if you want to have an outcome you want to enable, I would like to make that happen. I cannot like dream it up myself. So that's what I ask for this thing, is to help me help you, is to help me make changes to the program according to what you need. If you don't like something, speak up. Tell me. I don't get offended. I absolutely do not get offended if you tell me, hey, you suck. And that's okay. I mean, I know I'm a human being. I suck. I know that already. But I will take corrections and make corrective actions. And I promise I will do that. So that's what I want to hear from you, is feedback, both good one and, more importantly, the bad one. And bad meaning I want to make changes to adjust and align better with what you need. So please keep that feedback coming. Okay, keep going. So now in this example, what we're really doing is I want to run some generator, right? Run some static generator, and I want to populate this public folder, which is currently empty. I want to fill it up. How do you fill it up? You run a generator software. That generator comes along with this thing called, where is that site? I should keep it full screen. Yeah. So this site comes with a generator tool built in. It is bundle exec rake generate. That's how you generate static HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all that, and put that in the public folder. That's where it will go automatically, as you will see. I will do that right now. What I'll do is run the generate command right in my terminal, right here. What I will do is run the generate command, and I'll see that this public folder gets filled up just like that. So it will generate the blog source code, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, based on 3 posts that we have created manually. This is the English that we wrote. And now the generation will happen, and you will see the result popping up in the public folder right there. Let's go run it. So it's running. and it is generating, and you can see that it is producing that output and putting that in a public folder. And now the public folder is kind of full of stuff. See that? Full of stuff. Okay, so now practically I'm done. My site is ready, and all I need to do is somehow take this public folder and dump it in a bucket somewhere in some storage company, some storage service. So I will do that. But before I dump, I want to see it. Like, I want to see it locally right here. How does it look like? Like, can I run it to see? Can I see without dumping it in the bucket? Can I preview this thing right here? Yes, I can. Let's go see how do we do that. So what I'll do is go back to that web browser and see how do I preview the content. I want to preview whatever I have to make sure it is something I'm going to actually show to the public. So bundle exec rake preview is the command to make it visible right inside your workstation. And then you can go to this location in your workstation to see what it shows you. So I want to run that command right there. Bundle exec rake preview, and it will run a local server right in the workstation and make it visible to me on this port 4000 on the local computer, local machine, local host. I can see that by opening up the local browser, a Firefox browser inside the VM. You cannot access it outside the VM. Only inside the workstation is where you can see it. Now what I will do is go to the local host port number 4000 and find out what it shows me. And what do you see? I see my 3 posts. My first post is, hey, this is empty. My second post is, hello, Cloud Genius. And my third post is, keep it simple. Let's go see the third post in detail. And here's my post. Here is a list of all the posts. And here is my blog. And that's how it looks like right now. Of course, we can edit every single thing in behind the scenes, like the title and the copyright and the name of the site and all that. We can change it. We have to go and find out appropriate places to make modifications. But the site looks okay. I mean, half decent. Less than half decent, I should say. But yeah, so I'm okay with sending this content out to the bucket. So what I will do is now this server that is running here is actually serving that content on port 4000. That preview server is running. I want to break it by pressing Control-C. I broke that. Now my command line is back to normal. And now my server is dead. If I now go to the browser and try to open up port 4000, I will see nothing. Because that's exactly what it should be. It's a temporary test server. And now it shows me unable to connect. That is expected. Okay. Now, our goal is, up to this point, we have successfully created the content that we would like to show to the public. It is sitting in the public folder. And we created that public folder using the source folder, which had these posts like that. So that's how we have the public ready. Now we have somehow forklift this entire content of the public folder and dump it into some bucket, into some storage service. That's the next action. So we'll do that piece. In order to do a forklift like that, we have to send stuff. We'll use a tool that is also open source that we will be able to basically forklift the public folder and drop that into a bucket that will be something like I don't know, for example, or a bucket that we want to create for our own custom domain names. For example, what was the domain name you guys were able to buy? Did you buy some domain name for yourself? Any one of you? Couple of you? Did you buy any?
Yep, I did.
What was the name?
It's just KennyWin.com.
Kenny.
WYNN.
Oh, Win. Oh, the hotel Win. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Next time I know who to ask when I need to go to Las Vegas.
Hey, if there's any relation, I'd be there right now. So.
Okay. So, Kenny, what I would like to show you is that you should actually create this domain www, right? That will be nice. And so you should create a bucket like that, just like that, www.kennywin.com. And that should be the name of your bucket. And thereby, we should be able to then alias it like a canonical name. And you create the bucket in, say, Amazon Cloud. So the bucket name will be something like S3 website -US, depending on which zone you go to. Like this is a East example. I'll give you a West example in Oregon. It doesn't really matter too much as to where you want it to be for right now. And then that's the bucket representation. The site representation of your bucket will look like. And then you have to create a canonical name like that. And you have to probably do this in the place where you bought the name from. And I am going to find out where you bought the name from. I think it will tell me where it is coming from by digging for your name. So I'll go dig your name and find out the name server records, and you bought it from GoDaddy. So what we need to do is go to dig and then find out the canonical name for www, and that record doesn't exist yet. Oh, GoDaddy did it for you, apparently. So you have to go and remove that GoDaddy record for the www entry and create a new canonical name entry that should look like line number 18. www.kennywin.com, CNAME, pointing to the longish name that Amazon will give you, because you will create a bucket with that name, which matches the intended future domain name, and then manage to dump your public folder into the bucket, into your bucket. And then, boom, it works. Let's go do that. Let's go see how we can do this. So let's go see in here, what are the instructions? So we saw the rake preview part. What we need to now do is somehow send this over to a bucket, and that's the next step. So let's go do the next step. Now, in order for you to just, dump it into a bucket, anybody should be able to do if you let that permission structure open to the world outside, but that's not a good idea. You want to restrict ownership and access and provide only read-only access to certain people or maybe the public for a website. And you get to put objects in there and nobody else. That's the permission structure. In order for you to regulate those permissions, you have to actually set a login password kind of method or some other kind of method to identify and authenticate you. That authentication needs to happen based on the cloud service provider that you chose. Now we are going to use Amazon. So we'll understand what does Amazon give us for the question that we have is some kind of an authentication method for a tool to send the public folder from this computer over to the bucket called www.kennywin.com. That's what I want to happen. And I want my computer here to be able to successfully authenticate as Kenny in Amazon and be able to dump that into the right bucket, for which my computer needs permission from Kenny. And Kenny can give me permission if Kenny wants to. Kenny doesn't have to. If Kenny doesn't want to give permission, that's okay. I'll use my own account and put in my own bucket. But you can do the same thing on your side. If you want me to use your bucket, I will gladly use it. But I would rather let you handle it yourself. The recommended approach is to do it yourself, because you will really know what's going on and you will stumble upon certain things and you will fail, and that's great. I mean, that's how I learn, is by doing stuff. So I want you to do it yourself, but if you want to give it to me, I'm okay with that. I will show you my own bucket and my own example, and you will play along with yourself in your examples. What I would like to do now is to make sure that my computer is able to connect with my own bucket. My bucket name is, I don't know, right? That's the bucket name I have. So this site that I have is not really going to be a simple name, canonical name example. It's just going to be this ugly long name. For me, it's going to be ugly, but that's okay. For you, Kenny, you can make it look like line number 18 to make it decent. Like, www.kennywin.com, and the blog looks like fine and fancy. Good, we'll do that. Now, for me, it'll look like line number 14, which is, I don't know, dot blah, 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 whatever. That's what I'm getting to. And I'll dump my public content into the I don't know bucket, for which I need permission. I need permission from Amazon. So I'll go to Amazon and get my secret access key. That's what I want to get. So how do I get it? I log in to Amazon, and then I click on the name on the top and get security credentials right there. Now here you will find a place, third item, access keys. That's where you can get an access key for yourself. Now remember this one thing. I want you to really, really carefully understand that the access key and secret key that you are going to create are really tied to your credit card, which means these keys are really, really important for you to keep them safe from other people. You don't want to let go of these keys and don't want to show them to other people, because the moment you show it to the public, you will get hacked. So I just want you to know that these keys you should never, ever, ever expose. Having said, I will create a key and I will show it to you. Now, this is what you should not do, right? I just showed a key pair to you. That's okay. I trust you. So don't hack me, please. And it's okay. So yeah, I will download the key. You don't have to download the key file. You can just use it. So I want to use this. There are two parts to this key. So let's go copy this. So access key and secret key. There are two parts to it. Like right here, I got these two things, line number 2 and line number 4. The first one is access key ID. The second one is secret access key. I need these two credentials. They're like login name and password, for example. I need these two things. I need to provide it to my command line in the workstation here. I need to provide it these keys to this software so that it can actually send stuff, this public stuff, to my bucket. So now how do we do that? Let's go find out. We'll go back to here. No, not here. Where is the browser? I think I left it behind here somewhere, maybe. I think I lost track of where I was, so I'll go to the website again. Yeah, I think I just lost track of where that exercise was. So no worries, we'll go there again. Where is that? Okay. Yeah, that's where I was. And then I get my access key and secret key. I have that now from Amazon. I need to make use of this in the Octopress setup. So I go to the next section, and there I find what do I need to do. Is there a question?
Is this key similar to public key, private key concept?
No.
No? Okay.
There are multiple types of keys, and we'll soon get to keys exercises also, but this is just one of the types. The other types of key is your public-private key pair, which is another type of key that we will create, and this is going to be you control it. So this is the key pair that you control. The key that we are talking about in line number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the Amazon access key, secret key pair. This is something that you control.
It's similar concept?
Concept is similar, but the style is very, very different. You can read a little bit. You can read a little bit more about it. We'll do another exercise just like that in maybe 30-40 minutes from now. We'll do that. And again, depending on time, we might maybe do it next time. So it's already 6 o'clock. We might be able to finish this exercise, and then we may not have excess time for the bigger exercise. So we may not do it today, but yeah, we'll do it soon. It is probably already given out in this website. You can see it ahead. If you read ahead, it is written down here in week number 1. I think it's called Friday, right there. So secure shell, and then key pair, and then all the public key and private key. That is already written down. We'll probably follow that next time, if not today. So here, I think I'm changing a little bit the sequence. I occasionally change. I cover this versus that first. So sometimes you will have, I'm not following exactly what's written down on the website in that sequence. I occasionally change stuff in the order in which it is interesting or appropriate based on the discussions. I occasionally switch topics beforehand. Now, having said, I want to use this tool called S3CMD, which is also an open source product. This S3CMD is probably already installed on your machine. So let's go check it out. S3CMD is an open source tool, S3CMD. It's on GitHub. And that's the tool I want to use today. This package is probably already installed on your machine. So we'll just see if it is not installed and provide the password. The password for this workstation is Cloud Genius. It's right on the wallpaper, right? Cloud Genius is the password. And it'll tell me that S3CMD is already the newest version installed. That's good. So now I can use S3CMD. How do I use it? I use S3CMD by configuring it. S3CMD configure. So we'll go configure it. And the first thing it asks me, what is the access key? Please tell me the access key. So I have to give that access key to it. I'll grab my access key from here and give it. The next thing it asks me is, what is your secret key? So I'll go there and grab my secret key, the whole thing, copy it, and then give it. Then it says, do you want to encrypt the traffic as it goes from your computer to the bucket? No, I don't want to, because this is going to be a public folder. It's a public website. I don't need to encrypt it. So I'm saying no, basically skipping it by saying enter. Then I'm not using a GPG privacy program. So I'm skipping that also. When I'm saying that I'm transmitting this on HTTPS, that is also not a necessary thing. This is a purely public facing website. There is nothing that is actually secret here. So I don't need to even use HTTPS. So I can say no to it and go ahead. If you happen to have a proxy server like Boeing Company has, by the way, don't bother doing it inside Boeing Company, do it outside Boeing Company. It makes your life easy. Do exercises outside. Otherwise, this proxy will get you in the company. Then you have to go scramble and ask IT department, what's the proxy server? And they'll say, why do you need that and all that? So you can just avoid all this and just go home and do the exercise, right? Don't create trouble for yourself. There's no need to, right? So just skip the proxy, just go home, do the exercise from home. And so skip the proxy server. And now it's going to validate whether your settings are correct or not. So it says you have access key given, secret key given, and everything else is defaults. And so should I test the access with the supplied credentials? I'll say, yeah, go ahead and test it. So please test for me. So it's going to test. And it says, yeah, succeeded. It says, success. Your access key and secret key worked fine. Beautiful. Now what? Save the settings? I say, yeah, please save the settings. As soon as you save, the file gets saved in a .s3cfg configuration file. That file is sitting in your home folder .s3cfg. That's where it saves the configuration. You can see that it actually stores the configuration in all these parameters are alongside, and that's where it dumps the content. Now what you need to do next is understand what we just did is save the configuration file. Next is to send the stuff to the bucket, right? So what we need to do is now use the tool. Don't use the browser, right? We have this browser, console, AWS, that we can always create a website using this S3 bucket, and we can use the browser to create a bucket and all that. Like I have this created a bucket called I don't know, and it has this file. So I'll leave this bucket alone. I'm not using that bucket. In fact, I would like to have a new bucket created, and I would like to create that bucket using the tool. It's easier for us to operate just directly using the tool. So the tool will be able to easily manipulate content. So it's a good idea to create the bucket using the tool itself to save you some hassle. Okay, so now what I will do is read. How do we create a bucket? You have to replace your bucket name here in that location. And I am going to create this bucket name called your bucket name here using my tool, like that. And I'm going to create a bucket. It says S3CMD MB, make bucket. So it says this bucket created. Good. Let's go check it in Amazon's console. Do I see a bucket called your bucket name here? Yes, I do. And it already has some content from a previous exercise. Okay, so let me clean it up. So let me just delete that. So I will select all these things and, or rather empty the bucket from the outside. It's easier. Your bucket name here. I should just empty the bucket. Where is the empty bucket button? Yeah, there should be the empty bucket button for this bucket. I would like to empty the bucket like that. And my bucket name is your bucket name here. So I would like to just empty the bucket. Confirm. So the bucket is now empty. Let's cross check. We'll go inside the bucket and it is showing empty. Nice. I want it to be empty, otherwise we'll not have the result expected. So back here, we have the bucket created. It already existed, but it knew that it is my bucket. So it says created and accepted that. Next, what I want to do next is to go into the Octopress folder, which we are already we are already in the Octopress folder, as you can see. And there, I want to synchronize using S3CMD, synchronize the contents of my public folder with the bucket called your bucket name here. So whatever I have in the public / or asterisk, whatever I have inside the public folder, dump it in the bucket. Synchronize. Make sure that the access control is open for public, and delete anything that I remove from the public folder in the future. If I run this synchronize step again and I delete something in the public folder, it will also delete it from the bucket. That's the delete removed action. If I remove something from public, remove it also from the bucket. If I add something to the bucket, add something to the public, add it to the bucket. Basically synchronize, keep it in sync, and make sure that the content is accessible to the public. ACL, public, access control for public. And that's the command I want to now run. And what this will do, as you can see, is to take the content of my public folder and everything inside it and dump it in the bucket, like that. So I'll let it go. So it's sending item by item, boom, boom, boom. Everything that is created inside the public folder is getting sent over to the currently empty your bucket name here, bucket, like that. It is currently empty, but soon you will find that it contains the stuff that I'm sending. So it will send and then report back success. Lots of files going there right now because it's generated code, and it succeeded in uploading 327,000 bytes in 26 seconds, and all good, all good. Great. Now let's go see the bucket itself and refresh. And what do we see? We see we see stuff, right? It populated with stuff. Okay. Now what? What's the next step? What I want to do now, after I sent all these items to the bucket, is what I want to do next is to tell Amazon to create a static site using the content in my bucket, like that. I'm saying WS create, website create, using this bucket, create a website. That's what I'm really going to do with this. So I will run that command for my bucket called your bucket name here, like that, and ask Amazon to create a static website, like that. And it did that. Now we have done. We are basically done with the exercise. But let's go see whether it succeeded. So we'll go back to our web browser, and we can access our new site at that location. So let's go see it. We'll go open it up, enter, and boom. And what do you see? You see exactly what you expected to see, which is my first post is empty. My second post is hello Cloud Genius. And my third post is keep it simple. Simply. So we did that. Now let us see whether Kenny succeeded. So www.kennywin.com. What are you doing, Kenny? I think you're still stuck with GoDaddy.
Yeah, I am.
I know. No worries. Let's go see. I can help you. Maybe you can, if you can share your desktop, I can guide you through to make it successful with you. So if you please share your desktop, I'll see if I can use your example and show it to everybody else. How do you modify and manipulate the CNAME records that I just mentioned? Like I mentioned you that we need to change the CNAME canonical name for your need in line number 18. That's the challenge that you might have. So you want to make sure that you do it like that. And I will help you guide in that direction. So I will make that happen for you, provided you share your desktop with me. And I will stop sharing, and then you should be able to see it, share your desktop with all of us. And we'll take a look at your desktop and find out how to modify the GoDaddy thing.
Okay, so just I fell behind. I didn't have the bucket set up, so I was
No
just
worries.
following.
No worries. Yeah, we'll do the whole thing for you. So go ahead, share your desktop.
All right. Let's see, which one do we want to share?
Share the desktop in its totality, so I can see the browser as well as.
Yeah, I've got a handful of displays.
Okay.
So
No worries. So here in your computer, what I'm looking at is your Kenny Win domain, and what you need to go do is on the upper right corner, there is a DNS button. And in here, you will see that you have I'm asked for control, but I'm not going to control. I'm just asking just to guide you if needed. Okay. I'll let you drive. But here you see that there is this canonical name, entry number 2, second entry. Like that entry, you have to delete that. And go ahead, kill it. Yeah, kill. Yeah. Awesome. That entry is gone, dead, right? The second thing you want to do is let's go do a couple cleanup. Like this is like totally tied to GoDaddy. So I would like you to delete the first entry also. Like I don't want you to use GoDaddy, so just delete the whole thing. Like even the third, even this one, yeah, kill it. Boom. All we want to keep is these two entries. That's important. You want to keep them. This is the DNS entry that you want to keep. Now, everything that you have with GoDaddy has been deleted. All you have is the name with GoDaddy and two name server values, NS27, NS28. Okay, now we would like to add a record. And you want to add a CNAME record. And you want to go www pointing to, no, you don't have to say Kennywin, it is implied.
Okay.
Just www should do it, unless GoDaddy complains, in which case we'll add the kennywin.com, but it should be implied. And it should point to www. whatever the longish name that Amazon will give you, which I think you can find it in Slack chat. I just pasted that in Slack, so you should be able to find it. So in Slack chat, you will find a, you should grab the whole thing and paste it and remove the trailing slash, remove the HTTP, remove HTTP : remove the / and at the trailing slash, you remove that also. That should be the name for you. Now you save it. And now you go to your Amazon console and confirm that I was right. Because I don't know what name you've chosen.
Well, yeah, and I don't have it set up yet. Well, I have the account,
okay, no worries. We'll do that. So we'll go to Amazon. We will go to your S3 area. So click the S3 button. And there you create a new bucket. The name of the bucket should be, actually, you know what? Hold on. Cancel out. You want to create the bucket using S3CMD, right? You remember that. You want to create it using S3CMD, which means you have to configure your access keys first. So you go to kennywin.com and then go to create a credential. If you haven't created a credential, go to security credential. By the way, everybody else, stop looking. And by the way, Kenny, I want you to do some security steps later on after the session is over. I would like to tell you what to do for security purposes. Since this recording, we are recording this and it will go to YouTube and other places. I will take care of that. So we'll delete the key. Don't worry about it. For right now, you're exposing security for about 40 minutes of our time. So I hope you don't get hacked by one of us in that time. So go ahead, create a key. And show it, copy it, put it in a command line of some sorts, and make sure that you keep that available to you. And we will not hack it, I hope. And now you can close that file. And then let's go to the command line where we're working with. And the VirtualBox, not this
the VirtualBox.
VirtualBox command line, and there. And here you want to set it up s3cmd.configure. S3cmd space -- configure.
Don't want to exit out of all this.
No need to exit. Just be there. So s3cmd space -- configure.
Like that.
And then you start enter and you give it the key pair. The first one, double click copy and paste it with the mouse right click and then enter. Then the second key, the whole thing. Yes, thank you. And then you paste it, enter. And then you don't want to encrypt, just go next, enter. All the way. And say yes. And it's going to test it, succeeded, say yes. Save it, move forward. Now you want to create a bucket, right? You want to create a bucket by the name www.kennywin.com. So you say s3cmd space mb for make bucket. And then space s3:/ www.kennywin.com. That's the bucket name you want. That's the bucket name you enter. That's the bucket name you got.
All right.
So now you go back to your browser and check whether you actually see that there. In Amazon, you should now see the S3 bucket created for you. and you want to go to upper top left corner all the way AWS, all the way AWS, and then you will find S3, and then you go there to find
Bucket.
Kennywind.com. It is not public, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll deal with the command line. So you minimize this browser again.
Okay.
It's currently empty right now. That's okay. Now here we have, did you create a couple of posts already?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so let's go create some posts. So what I want to do is atom space dot, and in here we have the public already created. Okay, do you have any posts in there? Not really. Okay, so we will have an empty site right now. That's okay. So you want to close out on Gemfile lock, close the Gemfile lock, and we want to run a static site representation in a preview mode inside the virtual machine. So we'll click on the terminal and say bundle exec rake preview, bundle space exec space rake, that's that one, and check out how it looks like in the localhost port 4000 to see how it looks like in the machine browser in Firefox. So open Firefox please in the VM and check it out, see how it looks. If you've seen it before, we can skip the step. But localhost 4000 colon 4000
No.
and a trailing slash after that. Localhost colon 4000 followed by trailing slash.
No, I messed that up. All right. Whatever. I did see it, so it's
Okay,
it works.
Good. You saw it. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
break this Control C, and you want to now send the stuff, right? How do you send the stuff? You want to synchronize. And you want to synchronize. So you can either copy and paste from the website where we have instruction, or I can just tell you. So either way, do you have the website open where the instructions are written down?
No, not to that part of the website.
Okay, so I'll just take you there. Hold on. What I'll do is give you the instruction to type in Slack chats. It's faster, focused. So we'll go that and find out what that instruction is quickly by pasting it in Slack chat. And that instruction is in Slack coming up. Excuse me. Sorry, I think I made a mistake in typing. Please correct that. Well, I corrected it. So check it.
All right. That's not what I wanted. I guess it is. All right. Are you on mute right now, Nilesh?
Yes, I was on mute. I was talking and I muted it and I forgot that I muted it. Oh, crazy. Yeah. Okay. So I think the last step that is remaining is to let Amazon know that your bucket needs to be configured like a website, which is the last step. It's also coming in Slack. And that is Kennywind.com, and off it goes. So there we go. You have it now in Slack. That's what you should take. And what you can see that it is basically letting Amazon know to create. Now you have a copy problem. Hold on. What's going on? What are you copying? And something is wrong there. If you cancel, break on the terminal. I think something is wrong in the way you copy. Let me show you an easier way to copy so you don't run to the problem.
All right.
So double click on the last instruction in Slack and copy. Yeah, that should bring it clean. Is it clean?
I don't think so.
No, it is not clean.
Yeah, because the quotations. I edited them out of the last one, so.
I know, but that backtick should not be there at all to begin with. Maybe it should. Let's go deal with it later. So yeah, go do your thing. There is a way to cleanly copy, and the backtick should not show in your copy buffer. Okay, hit, and you're done. So now go check, validate with Amazon. Did it actually do what we thought it did? So go click on the bucket name and see its content. You see the content, go to look at properties, and in the properties tab, you see that it is already configured for static website hosting, bucket hosting check mark, right? That. And now you click on it. So it will give you an endpoint URL. The endpoint URL is up on top. You click on it. And that's the Amazon representation of the URL, which has an empty blog, no posts. That's okay. But this is your kennywin.com also, because you have a canonical name in place. So if you remove the S3 website, US East 1, Amazon AW, blah, 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 then you should see your site also.
There it
There
is.
we go. Succeeded, right? That's how it goes.
Question, Nilesh.
Yes.
So this one, I'm just thinking, we are giving the access key and
Give me a second, Sridhar. One second. I just want to make sure that Kenny is taken care of. One last piece. Kenny, can you please go back to your Amazon and delete your key control? So yeah, go to the security credentials and make sure to delete them. And you create one more later on. So you just security credentials and delete that. Yeah, so go delete, say yes, and now you're good. So you don't have to worry about security as such, right? The key is deleted. Now, yes, Sridhar, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, instead of keeping the production folder sync with Amazon, so can we compile your code all with the jumps, whatever the jumps, Ruby jumps we have done on our, then just copy that and put it in Amazon manually? Can we do that?
I want to understand what you just said. I heard you say gem, but what I did not understand is compile apart and the missing pieces that I did not completely really
okay
understand.
So
what are you talking about?
So you have showed me first one file, HTML file, manually built and just put it on the bucket.
Yes.
And loaded the bucket, right?
Yes.
So in the same way, if I have already the compile my website, like Quora.com, www.quora.com, it's already built. Yes. So can I just dump that in my bucket?
Yes, that will also work. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That will also work, provided your website is constructed correctly and it doesn't have any server dependencies and any database dependencies.
Yes. Okay.
Right. If you have just HTML, CSS, JavaScript, images, PDF files, static resources, it will be just fine. It doesn't have to be Octopress. It doesn't have to use S3 CMD. It can use any tool, any technology you like, as long as it is a static website that doesn't require a database, it will work.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Nilesh?
Yeah.
This got to have different enterprise way though. I mean, if my bucket's enterprise-wise, no way I'm going to give to my key to like 10 person so they can access my bucket.
I think you are talking about enterprise-wide security use case. Is
Yeah.
that the use case?
Yeah. I mean, this way I can understand for just one, I mean, just yourself or maybe just two user that can work. But if it's enterprise going to enterprise bucket security control.
I get that. So let's go talk about it. So this is what you want to talk about, right? Enterprise use case. So here's how you go deal with it. Click and security credentials. You see, I have this security credentials here that I created. That I need to also make sure that I need delete them. So I just deleted that. Okay, my credentials are dead. And that gives me some level of satisfaction that I cannot be hacked anymore because my keys are dead. However, one or two developers, it's okay. But if it's a large number of people in a big corporation, how do you manage a properly structured hierarchical way of securities? And something like an Active Directory in Windows or an LDAP based in Linux or some other method. What is the right way to do this in the enterprise? So let me tell you that what I just showed you is not the way to do it in enterprise. What do you do in the enterprise then? You go scroll and you read. It tells you right there. As described in a previous announcement, blah, 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 all that. As a best practice, we recommend creating an IAM user. So let's go understand that piece. What is an IAM user? So you basically don't create keys in enterprise, don't create it like this. But instead, you go to AWS and then look for identity and access management. IAM. Where is that? Somewhere here. Security, identity, and compliance. IAM. So you go there. And here, you then begin thinking like a big company. And the big company, classic examples, let's go describe the use case a little bit. In the enterprise use case, you have root control, top level root control. That's one person, maybe a couple of people. That's the super admins. Super admin. They're like 2 people, 2-3 people. That's fine. Now comes the concept of who, what, when, control, a resource, something like a bucket. The bucket as an example. You want to, who can control, what can they control, when can they control a bucket? You want to come out with set of policies to help us understand who has the ability to read, write, create, delete, like that, and list, all those capabilities. To be able to list the items in the bucket, to be able to read and write and create and delete and all the operations you usually do with a resource. Who can do that? When can they do it? From which location can they do it? Can they do it in their home? Can they do it only when they're in the office? All that detail you have to actually enumerate. So that is generally I would call a policy of permissions, like who can do what, when, and why, and how. And we have to have an audit trail of who did it, what, when, and like that. So that is the policy structure we have to put together. The next thing we will talk about is the concept of a group of people that have these certain abilities. So let's go look at ability to do X, ability to do Y and Z, and this ability to do stuff. We have to assign that to group concept, and then we'll put people in groups. What does that translate to in real life? I would like to have a bunch of people, like to call them bucket managers. And so if that's the group that I have, then I would like to put Jessica and Tina, these 2 people, as the members of this group. So then they are the managers of the bucket. They can do whatever they want with the bucket. But everybody else who is not a manager in the group will be disallowed from creating a new bucket. So the MB command, or make bucket, fails. Delete items fails. All these other activities, people cannot do this. And each user, like Jessica and Tina and other people in the team, will have a unique set of user credentials that are created. So let's go now do example exercises. What I want to do now is, first of all, look at my groups. And I have very simple structure. I have 3 groups. And these are the super duper admin group. Then I have 2 other groups, the CDN manager group and S3 manager group, as an example. What I would like to do is, for the purpose of this discussion, create a new group. I'll call them bucket manager. And in that bucket manager group, I would like to assign some permissions. What I would like to give them is the ability to access S3. And then I go next, and then I create that group. So this is my bucket manager group. In that group, I have nobody in the users in that group, 0. What I can now do is, in the group, create a user. For example, I have a bunch of users. I'll just create a user called Jessica.
So you say those username we can upload our Boeing's Active Directory?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You
Okay.
can connect Active Directory and manage it through Active Directory also. No problem. You can federate with Active Directory and connect it just fine. Probably you already are set up like that. I'm
Okay.
betting money that you are set up like that already in your company. Again, we are talking about the corporate account that Boeing has, not the one that you have or something. This is like a company account for me. But if you get a free trial, AWS free trial, you will probably get a personal liability account in which you are the super duper boss. So you may not have an Active Directory hooked up already. But if you're using the corporate account from Boeing company, you are very likely to have a Active Directory user already tied to your Boeing.com login name, password, and other security tokens already hooked up. You might have permission structure already in place through Active Directory, which is currently mapped with your Amazon account at the company level. I don't know these details, but you might find out yourself. It might already be set up for you. I'm suspecting it is. But if you're not, you can do it like this. You can create a Jessica user, give that user programmatic access, and then set some permissions. And I decide that Jessica should be allowed to become a member of the bucket manager group. And so then I review and I say, okay, Jessica has a programmatic access with the access key to the bucket manager group, and I create the user. As soon as I create the user, I get a Jessica key pair, a key pair for Jessica to use. And I can just hand it off to Jessica. This is the key and this is the secret. I just give it to Jessica. I can download the CSV file and make it available to her. And then I close. And now I see that in my group, I have the bucket manager group, and there is one user. And that user happens to be Jessica. So you can see that this Jessica user, we can, check her permission. She can access S3 full access. You can see the policy, S3 asterisk resource, any resource allow. It's complete access for any bucket in my account. You can also adjust the security credentials. You can find that if Jessica leaves the bucket manager team and joins another team, you can make that key inactive, and thereby, disabling Jessica from accessing buckets because she is now in a different team. You just remove that credential. You can actually, if she comes back to the bucket team, you just create another access key for her, and that goes up.
But if we use the corporate Active Directory, we don't have to generate an access key for the user. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so I basically deleted Jessica's key, and I'm going to remove that group also in which Jessica was a member, and just cleaning it up right now. So Jessica, I am removing you from the group, and deleting that role because that's just a demo. Okay, but by the way, if I give you access like this, you can come into my buckets and manage it just by the fact that you have access. But that's the idea. Okay, let's go identify a couple of things that Kenny just did. So let's go see what Kenny did. So let's go see here. We find that what what Kenny has done in his domain is dig Kenny Win. Let's go first thing. Check that he is on domaincontrol.com, which is basically GoDaddy. You can also see that if you dig kennywin.com for the name servers, they are on NS27, NS28. We are doing dig queries for the domain DNS. You will also see another thing, which is if you now look at the dig query for, sorry, do it again. Dig for www.kennywin.com and find out what the CNAME is. It will show up as this long name, which is what Amazon's bucket representation, site representation of his bucket is. Now, if you go look at dig and just dig www.kennywin.com without the CNAME, it will actually give you further resolution all the way to the IP address like this. www is a canonical name representation of the bucket site representation of the bucket by the same name, which itself is another canonical name to S3 websites in the US East 1 Amazon zone, and S3 websites in the US East 1 have an IP address of that number. So that's where it is actually sitting. There is a server, by the way, that is we call the serverless storage. It's actually a server. It is storage service. And that is the IP address of the set of servers running behind somewhere in Virginia in the East Coast, where the bucket www.kennywin.com is sitting. And what Kenny has done is mapped it like a CNAME canonical name. That's the idea that Kenny did. You can also see whether the kennywin.com opens up in here, and maybe Kenny has further updated his site. Did I type it wrong, or you put it down or something, or what? Did you delete something or remove it?
I think when we deleted the key, it probably broke it.
No. It should not break it.
No?
Key breaking should not break the site. No. Breaking a key should not break the site.
Yeah, I can get to it from my machine.
Okay, that's good. But something wrong with my machine then. Am I typing it wrong?
No, it looks right.
Yes, something wrong with my computer. Yeah, something wrong. Definitely wrong. If you can open it, I cannot open. That's something broken. So don't worry about it. Other people, please check. Can you open kennywin.com? Can you click on this, please? Yeah, looks like it's opening by Slack. Slack opened it. I cannot seem to open.
I'm fine.
Yeah, most of you should be fine. I have a problem somewhere on my side. Maybe my browser sucks or something like that. Yeah, see, server not found. Something is wrong. I'll figure out what's going on with my machine, but it's opening for you. That's good. So I think this, what you should do now is to extend the idea further. How do you extend the idea? Is to want to be able to now put a method in which you should be able to modify the content of your site, generate new content, and synchronize again with the bucket. Right? That's what we are discussing here again. So you basically update your bucket content, meaning you go here and you create another post. Say, for example, in the sources, in the _post folder, you create one more post, like third, fourth post, fifth post, like that. Add more content to it. The fact that you added content in here doesn't magically make itself available in the public folder. It doesn't. You have to generate content. How do you generate? You have to say rake generate, bundle exec rake generate, to generate new content, new static site content, and dump a new set of files in the public folder. that generation will create new content and dump it in the public. And then when the public content is available to you, you should synchronize it with your actual bucket out there. When you synchronize, the changes will reflect to the world. The worldwide access to that same content becomes available. So now that's how you should operate. You should structure it like this. You have a folder called Octopress. Then in there you have a folder called source _ posts, and you have post number 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. You keep adding stuff here. Then you generate content. When you generate content, you create a new folder called public with new content that contains the new changes you make here. It shows up here. And now you want to push it to the bucket. You want to S3CMD sync with the bucket. If you delete something from here, then that deleted item should disappear from here. And since synchronizing has this -- delete removed item as a flag, delete removed flag, it will remove that item from here. And whatever you added, the star item, it should synchronize just fine. So the star should show up here. And this item will go away because you deleted it. That's how the synchronization should happen. There are 2 steps, 3 steps. First one, create content. Second one, generate. And third one, synchronize. So edit, generate, synchronize. Edit, generate, synchronize. It's a pipe. It's a pipeline. You edit, you generate, you synchronize, and then site goes live. Simple. There is no server to manage, no nothing to do actually. It's just you write content, it just shows up.
So for dynamic site, like a JE web application, does have similar easy approach?
Yes.
Or
So this discussion is strictly limited to static sites.
I mean, so like I have a year file, I can just tell Amazon that I want to.
Did you say this file?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have this var file, it is not a static site. So we will not use a bucket. But yes, there are simple tools to make that happen. That is what is called a platform as a service.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll go do like this. For example, you go to Amazon as an example, and let's go see, where do you put up var file? You go in, what's the name? It's called Beanstalk. Yeah, they have this name called Beanstalk. So here you select your Java, right? .NET, Tomcat?
Yeah.
Tomcat. Okay. And then you change the version. Which version Java?
Any.
Any.
Yeah.
Fine, any. And then you want automatic scaling, load balancing, or testing?
Sure.
Just
Sure.
testing single.
Yeah.
You want a full-fledged enterprise grade solution, automatic scaling, load balancing. And then you click this button. That's it.
And you can upload the WAR file.
Upload the WAR file, you're done.
Okay, thank you.
It's as simple as that. This is platform as a service. Like I showed you and talked about platform as a service, right? You take a developer prepares a WAR file. This WAR file, developer prepares it, and you take the WAR file and dump it into the platform, you're done. That's exactly what's going to happen in a platform setup. In case of Amazon, they call it Beanstalk. I don't even know the spelling of it. What is it called? Beanstalk. Okay. Stock. That's the spelling. So in Amazon Beanstalk, you pick your language, like here, Node or PHP, Python, Ruby, blah, 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 any language you pick. And then you, let's say you pick Python. And then you change the version, 3.6, 3.4, 2.7, whatever you want. Let's say 3.6. And then load balancing, auto scaling, and then launch. That's all it takes. Then you dump your Python code in there and you're done. It runs. That's the idea. That is for dynamic sites. This is the simple ways of doing.
Question.
Yes.
So after you generate and sync, we have deleted the keys on the Amazon website, whatever we generated. So after deletion also with this, the public folder, are we still sync with the bucket, the public folder?
No, it will not. Let me tell you exactly what goes on. The deletion, what does it do? Let's go find out. So when you, like I deleted the key for our friend Kenny, right? You remember I deleted his key pair? So what happens is when you delete the key is that this process breaks.
Yes, okay, got it, yeah.
Now, if you want that process, synchronization process, because the sync process doesn't have any permission to manipulate objects here, because the keys are broken. So you want to get a new pair of keys and then tell S3CMD configure. S3CMD -- configure. Again, one more time. When you configure it again, you will ask for new keys.
Yes.
And then this breakage will stop and it will start synchronizing again. No problem. The fact that only the sync breaks makes the site still running.
Got it.
Even if you break the key pair, the site keeps on running. All that breaks is the ability for your S3CMD to synchronize with, do anything, basically anything, do anything with anything else. Amazon doesn't recognize you anymore at the moment you break the key. And therefore you want to create new set of keys using the IAM method or the easy method. The easy method is what we used. And Jessica brought up the enterprise usage method. So you can choose whatever method you like and use that key pair with S3CMD configure to make it go again. Now, I deleted your keys and I deleted my own keys because we are going to record this video and it goes on YouTube and other people watch it. And we don't want to create problem for yourself and myself. So we just delete our keys because we exposed it, right? That's the right way to do it. And now that you understand, you want to go back and go configure again with a new set of keys that doesn't break anymore, and you keep the key private. And I'm not stressing it enough, so I should tell you one more time. Hey guys, please do not let go of the key pair. That is a critical thing.
What did you say about these videos showing up on YouTube?
I know, yeah, they do. Yeah, I put it there.
You post these classes on YouTube after we record them?
Sometimes.
I see.
Sometimes I do.
Well,
who was that? Who was it?
This is Ed, because we're sharing our desktops and things. I thought the videos were just for people in the class.
But the class is a public class. I just want you to know that other people, other companies also come online. So if you are sharing something, that's why I was like very particular. This is a public class. So it's not, it happens to be that it's just Boeing. But the very first thing I said is, hey, don't disclose any personal information.
Yeah, I understand that. I just wasn't aware these were out on YouTube.
Yeah, they go in a restricted fashion. So only people who have attended the boot camp before can get access to it, and they may not belong to the Boeing company, right? There are lots of companies that come and attend. So even if it is not publicly on YouTube, it is still other people, other companies are there.
So other sessions of this course, like previous years or following years?
Yeah, like for example, you can access the other people's courses, like right there. You can access the videos from, we started recording since 2016. So you should be able to watch all these videos. They are already here, like winter 2018, all the videos are right there.
Okay.
You can see other people's work, and they're here for you to watch. And so your videos will also go to other people. And they do not necessarily belong to the Boeing company because this is a public class. Right? I hope that is clear. That's the reason why I said, very first thing I said in the program is, hey, please do not disclose anything that is corporate confidential or secret information, because this is a public class and I'm not a Boeing employee. If you remember that, I said that, and I want to repeat that again. Hey guys, please don't share your secrets. I don't want to see them. I don't think you did, except Kenny showed that Amazon secret. So I made him delete that. But apart from that, I don't think you have shared any secrets. So I'm okay with that. But just cautioning you. That's why I was like really particular about telling you about recording, and there is a law in place and all that. I don't want to make a mistake and don't want to cause mess. So yes, the video recordings are indeed available to you from the other people. So they are available to you right here. Recordings from sessions. In the past, sessions are there. We have been recording since 2016. Prior to that, we did not have the idea to record. So we did not record. But one fine day I said, you know what, we should record. And so we started recording.
I don't quite get why Amazon generate keep as two parts, like key ID and secret key. They give out both to the user. Why not just use one? I mean, it's not like public, private, you only give out public. But the key they generate, they give out both to the end user.
You're talking about this key pair?
No, the access key. When Amazon generate, it has that key ID and have secret key, two parts, and you have to give out both to the end user. What's the point? Just give one key.
I think that's how Amazon has decided.
No, I just don't get that part. Yeah, but whatever.
Let's see some other examples. So here is the access key and a secret key. They're two-part keys, right? So let's go see the other examples. So you saw this example. I'm going to delete that key again. And now let's go see another company. See how other companies do it. So in case of another company here, every company has their own method of doing it. So let's go see what this guy does. And so what I'm going to see is the method of authentication here in case of DigitalOcean. If you go look at this settings section, what they have is the API button where you can create a token. And this token is something that you want to give it a name like that and then generate a token. And the token generates.
It's just one token.
This is one token.
Yeah,
that's the token.
That makes sense.
Yes.
This is going to give that token to people.
Correct. So this is similar to Amazon's access key, secret key combination. They just use one token.
Yeah.
But it's their choice. So they decide to do it this way. Amazon decides to do it that way. And Microsoft does it their own way. Google does it their own way. Everybody has their own ways of securing things. So this is DigitalOcean way, right? So we'll delete that and delete the token. Now we'll see other examples also. Like for example, here go to Google Cloud, and there in Google Cloud they have not just a token but a full JSON file. So let's go see the project. In this project I have, let's go to the labs project. In here in the lab, I go to project settings. And in that setting, I would like to create a service account, which is where they give me a JSON file, and I can create a service account and give it a name and give it an ownership to the project owner. And there I have my project ownership assigned. I can furnish a new private key in the JSON format, and then I create it. It dumps the key to my machine, and there it is. It downloaded. Now that key just created is available to me. I can delete it if you like right there because I created it just now. I'm going to examine that key for you so you will understand what that key contains. If you go to the downloads folder where it has downloaded, let's see what that key came down as. Where is that JSON file? I saw it downloading. There it is. That JSON file downloaded. Let's go open it up. Labs JSON file. So we'll open it up, and what do you see? We see that it is this much. So what? There's a private key there. There is a client email, client ID, auth URI, token provider, this and that, and all the stuff. Now this is Google's way of doing things. The JSON file. Let's close it, and let's go back to here and delete that one because I don't need it. So delete the key ID that I don't need, delete it, it's gone. and refresh. It should disappear from view. Service accounts, and that ASD, oh, that is still there. I want to delete the service account itself. Delete it. Now it's gone. So that's the Google way of creating. Where is the key? Still, I should have a copy right there. That's the copy. And I can open it up again and read it a little bit more if I want to. But that's their way of doing things. Like everybody has their own method of managing their security. So this is the Google way. They have a private key, and you already saw this. So that's good. Now next time when we go, we will do more exercises in terms of understanding the classic RSA encryption. We'll also focus on a couple of things such as the public-private key pair and the compute services ideas, like we discussed storage. We also discuss the idea about compute scenarios. What I would like you to do is, as you go along, as you build your own static site, please post here in this location, put a new topic, and post a link to what you did with creating your own static site. How did you create, and maybe describe whatever you're doing as you work along. If you get stuck, just create a new topic and chat with me, call me, talk to me. Anyway, it's okay. But post it here so we'll know, and everybody will get to see what you are building with your own domain name, with a bucket and a generated site that you dump in our S3CMD sync approach. So please do that and post a link here into this location so that all of us can also see what you build. For example, what just Kenny did is www. So you describe what you did about your kennywin.com and write a little bit, like you don't have to go elaborate, like just three to four sentences is good enough. Just describe what you have, and that should do it. That's what I would expect you to do as you find time to do these things yourself. I think doing it yourself is the best part to understand something, and I encourage that. If you get stuck, you can always call me. Anytime you get stuck and you don't know what to do, don't waste time. Immediately, just Slack chat with me or come here and post on a new topic. That is the fastest way for you to get hold of me and get answers to it, because I will immediately help you. Don't want you to waste time. If you get stuck, just ping me and move forward. I want you to do these things hands-on yourself. That's the reason why we have the program hands-on, is for you to do stuff. So please do it with me. Again, these are not requirements for you to do, but I really encourage you to do it. With that, I will stop recording, and I'm still here for questions. So I'm stopping the recording right now.